Hello, everybody. This is John from Bleeding Heart Productions. Welcome to my first movie review on the channel, and it's going to be of The Crow, the 2024 version. Uh, it was something. I think that's the best way to say it. It was definitely something. I never have watched a movie and been so confused because I felt like I was watching three different movies at once. Um, First, the good parts that were there. I think Bill Skarsgård was an okay addition for what the movie had written out for him. He's definitely not Brandon Lee, which, I mean, Brandon Lee was one of a kind, but I don't think he was even a good Eric Draven. He was definitely somebody, and he gave the character of Eric in the movie a nice charm to him, but he somehow also felt like the least important thing in the movie. Okay, so the first half of this movie, we see a brief flashback of Eric Draven's life, and they reference the Pale Horse from the Crow comics. And then we immediately jump to Shelley, and we find out that she is involved in this weird gangster mob guy who is possessed by a demon crow thing who had her kill this dude when she was like 15, 16, and her friend dies, and now she's on the run, ends up in a rehab facility where we catch back up with Eric Draven, and the film's love story begins. I mean, I say love story, we really get like 45 minutes of them making out on couches and in rooms and doing things together until the movie picks back up again when Shelley dies, and we get snippets of Eric with superpowers. And the snippets with that we get with Eric with superpowers are kind of charming. Like there's one scene where he gets run over by a truck and kind of pops back up and he's scared, and him shrugging off getting shot was definitely charming, even though it was very formulaic of almost every other superhero movie ever made when the superhero first gets their powers, where they're shrugging off hits and stuff. But you have that, and then Eric loses his powers, and one of the weirdest last minute subplots ever, because he was doubting his love for Shelley, that he finds this out when he gets pulled back into the limbo station with his crow guide. You know, he doubted this girl that he'd known for like maybe a month, that he knew and that he met in a rehab, that she didn't even say that she had murdered a guy. He had like one smidgen of doubt of what he knew about her, and apparently that was enough to lose his superpowers. Just that little smidgen of, wait a minute, you killed somebody, what's going on? So much so that he has to sell his soul to this crow guy, damning himself to hell to get his superpowers back. Which actually begins the fun part of the movie, and which is the part that the trailers promoted, which was Eric wearing eyeliner and absolutely wrecking shop and destroying everything. That was the best part of the movie, because it actually felt like a Crow movie. Overall, the only thing I can say about this movie was, what in the actual heck were they thinking? It really felt like they weren't thinking when they made this movie. It felt like the first ChatGPT generated movie. There was three different movies at once. We had the Shelley origin movie. We had whatever was going on with Eric's origin, and the entire first half character progression of Eric Draven, Bill Skarsgård, and we had their love story. Then we had Eric actually wrecking shop as the Crow. And then that's not even counting the bad guy who was played by the market equities dude from Yellowstone season 1, who had an evil crow that he was possessed by and was damning innocent souls to hell. And he was trying to damn Shelley's to hell too. And he knew Eric was coming. So there was a whole fourth movie about these two entities that somehow knew each other that they barely explained in time for the climax. Uh, so that was really the brief summary of the movie. For casting wise, Bill Skarsgård did and F.A. Twigs did okay with what they were given. Really, they provided the characters with some charm, and even in the second half of the movie where they were just like aimlessly making out on a couch and no one really knew what was going on, they really had you really wanted them these two crazy kids to actually get together, you know? It was their scenes together, they really made you care for them. But um, I have to say, besides the bad guy, which I still can't think of his name, but he's played the Market Equities guy in Yellowstone season 1. If you haven't seen Yellowstone season 1, go watch it now. I know you think this is weird for me to be talking about Yellowstone in a Crow video, but this is somehow that transition is somehow less confusing than the actual Crow 2024 movie. Believe me. Uh, but he did really good. But Shelley's mom was like really bland and flat. Like Bill Skarsgård and FKA Twigs really wanted to be there. Everyone else was acting like they had a gun to their head off screen. It was really jarring and dull. There was no emotion. Besides that one girl that got her head chopped off at during the climax. But that was like for 5 seconds. Overall, I would give the Crow movie 2.5 stars for Bill Skarsgård and FKA Twigs. That was it. Uh, and those 2.5 stars are purely because of the experience I had in the theater of watching a dad having to try to cover his kid's eyes because he thought this was going to be a regular superhero movie. Final shot of this movie, and I'm ending the video here because I think this is really fitting of what happened with this movie. Bill Skarsgård's Eric Draven walks off into the distance with a narration about how true love will last forever. It was the most obvious sequel bait thing ever. They were trying so hard. And to be honest, this movie franchise should have stayed dead after Brandon Lee's movie. There has never been another dynamically interesting Crow movie since Brandon Lee. And I think this should be a lesson to Hollywood that they should never touch this again unless they want to do a new story that is totally divorced from the Brandon Lee, Eric Draven archetype. So, yeah. The movie franchise that will never die should really stay dead.